from what the letter says. Anyway.
Going back to communications, and I know I'm sure Dr. Underwood, and I know for sure Senator Blas, did this. What you're saying really is all staff, and you do all staff for a number of different reasons. One is for morale, just to say, man, I haven't seen all you guys in one place in a long time.
That's what they call Christmas parties.
Let's do the fat, exactly. Christmas parties.
You know those Gov Guam Christmas parties. Woo, I got stories.
And so, but you do have all staff when you have problems that are festering.
Right.
And it does two things in my experience of management. One is it puts everybody right next to each other so you can really feel body language and read body language in terms of what is the undercurrent of the grievances. And then it also shows that because you're taking command, people might start feeling a little bit more comfortable to say, you know what, I'm going to make an appointment to see the director. I think that I can air my concerns because I feel like the demonstration here is that this director, that this leader is willing to stand in front of all of us, put him or herself out there because there might be the raise of the hand and, I didn't like the fact that you took away our parking or whatever else it is. And if you're willing to do that, then your staff starts to get a little bit more easy with you that I think this person might be a little bit more amenable to discussing operational issues one-on-one than having to, do it behind the scenes.
What do we do? I mean, have any of you guys ever been in the military? I haven't. But I'm wondering, so I think
Many family members.
It's safe to say that they're questioning the leadership of the Adjutant General, Esther Agagi. So how does she salvage this? I mean, we're not talking about a director of an agency. We're talking about the one person who's responsible for commanding these troops that are supposed to defend our island or, help us after a natural disaster. And so how does she salvage that?
Well,
I mean, if it even is an issue.
First off, when you're talking about a military organization, I was involved in a paramilitary organization. You're basically instructed, follow the order, and if it's unlawful, then you don't have to follow it. But if it's a lawful order and it appears to be, then you follow it, because there are consequences if you don't. Okay? And there are going to be times the decisions are going to be made that you're not going to like it, but follow it anyways. Okay? And recognize, too, that in a lot of times these decisions that are going to be made, while you may not like it, you don't know everything that went behind making that decision. So you got to. I
think my mom said that to me once.
Yeah. Okay. So you got to learn to trust this. If you were to put together a all hands meeting with them, you're not going to get the information you want.
You think there's going to be that intimidation?
It's not called intimidation. It's basically called you're going to follow orders.
Right.
Okay. If I'm told to go left, I'll go left. Okay. You're trained that way.
Right.
And you're trained to trust. So when you said how is this going to be, then there has to be that degree of trust. Okay? Trust me, we're not going to be able to finish this conversation on that.
I'm just saying, if I'm the general and I hear that the troops are uneasy, then I want to talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be like the first.
And sometimes there's this degree, of bureaucracy that exists. What you got to do, in a lot of these cases, you may not go down and be able to meet that E1 or the E2, okay, and everybody. But there are people that they report to who report to another person who report to another person. You may want to start there.
Yeah, and I don't think the governor can just keep swooping in and cleaning up her director's messes. It's just not a good look.
It's not, and going
it's
back
unmanageable.
It's unmanageable.
Very unmanageable.
And going back to...
I know the GVB employees are like, what are we, chopped liver? You went to DOC twice. Hey.
I think that was, I'm just going to say it, I don't know this for a fact, but I just think that was better communication. I think Pilar and her team,
maybe
having been there for as long as she's been, I think they swooped in and said, look, where are our differences? Let's fix this. That's what I would believe. Things don't go quiet just automatically.
Well, you never know. We could get a letter tomorrow. I hope not.
Could be. But, I think really at some point, and Dr. Underwood is absolutely right, at some point you've got to just cut it off. But I think the major thing here is get in there quick, address the veracity of the concerns that are being put out, and then move on. And I think that you can only, too much anonymous is going to be crying wolf at some point.
Right.
So I think the major thing for the Adjutant General to do right now is get in there, handle it quick, and not defer necessarily to Adelupe's message. It has to be her message.
Right, and
She's in
that's what
command.
I felt was also a little bothersome was that we had asked the guard PO, Major Joe, I love her to death. She's an
Oh
amazing
yeah, no,
woman.
she's.
But her response was like, hey, yes, we acknowledge that the governor got the letter, but, you know, we're crafting a response with Adelupe.
No,
and
this
I
is
think,
the general's
and I think is that you have this letter basically alleging that they're using the same criteria that you would use to like hire political hires, which is just like whoever I want to bring in here, I'm gonna bring in, being applied to the military structure, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, there's just a lot of power behind dialogue, and you know it takes a lot for a leader to acknowledge that she might have had blind spots and so on. I've had to apologize a lot of times for missteps,
Right.
because you just you make a lot of decisions, right? But you can't fear making a mistake, and you just have to talk, and they have to know that you've got their back.
Right.
Right.
Otherwise, they won't listen. They have to know that you care for them, and so whether they're in the military or DOC, believe me, I've seen employees work without overtime pay just to get certain things done to meet deadlines.
Right.
But it's really the environment, that you create.
you could have somebody could work, and I mean, I'm not condoning 24-hour shifts,
No,
but if you love your organization, you love your
yeah,
job,
and
man, oh, that
you
24
want them to
hours just went by?
succeed.
Whoa, I didn't even
no,
notice.
exactly.
Do I have to go home?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about the elephant in the room, and this is kind of what the administration, this was kind of their first wave with these letters was, oh yeah, people are reluctant to change, and we put in people, they're doing a bang-up job, and everyone hates their guts for doing it. So there was that kind of, let's just call it a spin, right? That, Samantha Brennan is just here to change everything, and that's why everybody wants her out. Or, these are a bunch of Eddie's people. Yeah, they hate our guts. They're just causing all kinds of problems. So there was that. Do you think that's credible?
You know what? I'll tell you. Going back to how we addressed this to begin with, it really all is in the contents of the complaint. I worked 16 years in the environment, the whole 16 years of political hire. So there were times when my staff did not like my decisions. There were times, the only letter that was sent to one of the governors I served was a vendor who didn't get a contract. So
Was it anonymous?
It was anonymous.
Oh, wow.
But I handled it. I explained to them why that letter came up. But what I'm saying is that I have been accused of being political. I have been accused of
You're a politician,
operating
yeah.
within the agency, to the agenda of the administration, to a Republican agenda. But the fact of the matter is, just like what we've been talking about earlier again, because I communicated with my folks, because I knew where a lot of stuff was coming from, and I was at work every day putting in the 10, 12 hours to make sure that they saw that I cared about the operation. I fought for them at the legislature. I tried to get them what they could. Most of that type of the political environment that exists, and it will always exist in the government, it gets dispelled because they're really, really good career employees that don't have a tendency to operate in
They're
that,
there
in that realm.
regardless of who's governor.
They, they'll basically just shut it down because they're like, look, guys, don't make my work environment bad because you're mad about something. But you, as a leader, you have to communicate, and if you're not communicating, the problems will fester, and in the end, more than likely,
you
you're the one that's
fester
going to go.
something for 4 years. Oh man, that's a bad infection.
But I don't think it's a retribution or political in nature. I think there's serious concerns.
Right.